And we're live.
Okay, let's open the meeting for the zoning public hearing now. And need a roll call
Mr. Betcher,
Here.
Ms. Chan,
here.
Mr. Fisher,
Here.
Mr. Knapp is not here, Ms. Snyder,
Here.
Mr. Van Harn is absent this evening.
So we need a motion to excuse Mr. Van Harn and Mr. Knipp.
Mr. Knipp coming on his way or?
I'm not sure
I
we
don't
know
think
the
we know,
answer.
yeah.
No, it was,
I'm sorry, what was the question?
is Mr. Knipp coming?
He should be.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do we need to make a comment about the mayor?
So who was the
that's right.
motion
Ashley.
That's right, I forgot.
and who seconded?
Me. Betcher.
You betcha. You betcha.
So we need,
I'll make a note that the mayor was not here.
okay,
We also need to note this evening that Solicitor Terry Donlon is not present, but Mr. Butler is sitting in for him.
need a motion for that?
No,
I'm just
I
kidding.
like to keep my name out of this.
Okay, let's set the agenda and adopt it. Any changes, updates, additions? Okay, do I have a motion then to adopt the agenda?
Moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No one is registered to address council this evening, so we'll go to the discussion of changes recommended to the zoning ordinance with Mr. Butler.
Oh, in front of you, I think you all had an opportunity to review proposed ordinance number 222-9, which established regulations for temporary storage containers, dumpsters, and portable toilets in residential district. It's essentially an ordinance that puts time constraints on those various items within the village. My understanding is that there was one outstanding issue regarding construction dumpsters and whether the permissible time, which in the present version of the ordinance is 14 days that they could stay or stay in place, whether that should be extended to 30 days.
That was explained to me. I was one of the ones that brought that up while I was out. Do I explain that here now?
Sure.
Okay. The reason it's not 30 days for the dumpster and the pod is 30 days. The dumpster is going to be 14 days because there are issues with if you leave a dumpster sit around for 14 days, people tend to throw their garbage in it, regular garbage. So I understand for 14 days. And then they have, whoever has a dumpster has an option to come down to the municipal building, right? And ask for it for another 2 weeks? Is that true?
That is true. In
Okay.
fact, I don't believe the ordinance puts a limit on the number of times that you can
Okay.
ask for an extension. So it would be within we would work with somebody if they were having difficulties with contractors or in their project, or if something extraordinary happened that they couldn't complete it, and they needed an extension. But the biggest thing is we don't specifically want open dumpsters with regular garbage sitting around the village attracting vermin and other people throwing their garbage in there, essentially.
Attracting animals.
I actually have a question because I read the ordinance obviously, and this is my first exposure to it. And I know as you stated, there's the option to ask for an extension, which is not in the ordinance. I think it might be a good idea that it be in the ordinance. I think not only in the ordinance, but there should be some standards for granting the extension. Because if you just look at this, it looks like it's a flat 14 days. But you're telling me that they could come to the municipal building and ask for additional time?
So what did the planning commission agree to?
Or the administrator had the the authority to grant an extension. But if it's not in there, we should put it in there.
I think it should be in there.
Right. think so too. Good catch.
And I think we can work on some verbiage as to what the basis for that extension would be, because you don't want carte blanche them to just come in and say, I need 14 more days and rubber stamped. Not that it's a huge deal, except people might abuse it and just assume that they're going to get another 14 and another 14 without any reason for it.
So that change in language can be part of a first reading this evening.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so if they get an extension to go another 2 weeks, it's gonna be the same trash in it, and if it's taken away after 14 days and a new dumpster comes, what does that entail? Just thinking about trash, it might be, what you guys talk about.
It wouldn't necessarily be the same trash. It could be emptied.
Oh, it
brought
can be
back the
empty?
same day, I guess, but,
Okay,
or it might not need to be, right?
I
So
know,
think
that
the
was
rule
my one
is
concern. They don't
Stuff
get
could
filled.
accumulate after 14
In
days
2
that
weeks.
we want removed. And that's kind of where it's under the administrator's purview to go look and say, if this is empty, it's not an issue, grant the extension.
Mhm.
Or we can say this is overflowing, it needs to be removed, and then you can bring a new one in. That was kind of the thought from planning commission. And that's why there's a little bit of a leeway in there, I think, for the administrator to make a little bit of a decision.
Okay.
No, I that makes sense.
Based on a case by
But
case scenario.
I think it should be in here.
I
Agreed,
think that's a
absolutely.
good standard
Yeah.
to put in there.
Yeah. And that's what the reason for the shorter time frame is, just because they can fill up so quick and
They
people are
can,
dumping
right,
whatever.
or they, like multiple, if you have to have multiple dumpsters, the one on the end just might not fill up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
For a while.
So does somebody want to make a motion to make that amendment to the ordinance and pass it on to council?
I can make the motion to make that change.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So we move that to council tonight
So
then?
that would be taken to council, put on the agenda this
Okay.
evening for council to consider
Okay.
with the one amendment, and you're not amending the time frame on the dumpster from 14 to 30.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good.
Now, do we have anything
Any other
else?
question on the ordinance, should be now or at council? On the whole ordinance, I don't know.
You have a question on it?
Yeah. Are we allowing people to put temporary moving containers on the street?
No.
And why not?
So the ordinance states that if you have a dumpster or a pod, it has to be on your own private property. If you're in a position where it cannot sit on private property, then you need to come to the village to ask for a variance.
Yeah, these pots, when they're dropped off, so our whole concern is scratching the road and
Not
damaging
scratching,
the
damaging, yeah.
road.
Now,
These pods, I looked into them, the way they're delivered, they don't roll off a truck and put damage, or they have like this driving thing that picks it up, drives it to the spot, drops it, picks it up, and puts it back on. You never have that it's rubbing against any property or anything like that. The concern of damage, I know we spoke about this in the past, this is getting back up, is because I looked into it. There's no concern on the pods for damage, there's concern with dumpsters or with other types of containers, but the pods, if they have these pods with the moving containers, those are all straight up and down. They have like this cool systems, like 3 different mechanisms they use, and it's supposed to be guaranteed not to scratch up the property.
Scratching is different
It's
than
scratching and
the
damage.
weight of the pod sinking into fresh tar or a freshly paved road or something like that and creating.
well, the other issue too is that it takes up parking spaces when this happens. And with parking being at a premium, or in the case of the one that got deposited on Vera last month, it was in a place where it was difficult to see around corners when you're navigating the roads. So the prime consideration for getting these off the streets is to keep them out of the street.
Yeah, I was thinking the same
I looked
thing.
at that property, right? There's nowhere else for him to put it. His driveway's too much of an angle. if you go off the service road.
If somebody has a situation like that and they come to us and ask for a variance, we'll consider it.
Yeah, I was thinking not only parking, but traffic control. If they can just drop the pod anywhere. Chief, I don't know,
It has
do
to
you
be
have,
an illegal parking spot.
Pardon?
It has to be an illegal spot. There's no difference if you got
Well,
parking big huge van
as-
here. or put his
as I
pod.
understand it, aren't there streets in Gulf Manor where there's parking only on one side of the street?
Right, but
Isn't
there's no difference if you have a pod there for a week or you have your van parked there for a week.
Well,
Well, we
if there's no
have a
parking and you put it
72-hour
on the no parking side is what I'm
Parking
talking about.
limit.
72 hours.
So in
Right,
theory,
we
a
have that.
pod is in violation after it's been sitting there for 72 hours. We just need to enforce it. Our preference is that there is no pod on the street, which is what we're trying to accomplish here.
Was there anything else? Did you make a motion?
I did, and Ashley, you seconded it,
Well,
right?
that was for the amendment, but
That
we're
was
we're
very
talking
fast.
about.
That
something.
Oh,
Oh, we're
okay,
talking-
okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Now we're just discussing it.
So this
Gotcha.
is moved on to council so we can adjourn.
Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn?
When,
No?
hold on, there was a motion to approve the amendment,
It was approved.
correct? I'm aware. We need a motion to move it to council, correct?
I think you did that
I
in the
think we did
same
that in all the same sentence.
motion.
Okay. All right,
I
Yeah,
think so.
motion to adjourn,
so moved.
second,
Second,
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And thank you.
Chief, you had something